Good morning, it's Dana with Constructing Artistics. I have dyed and dried and changed my clothes twice now, and I'm going to make a tassel. I want to make it like extra. So, where do I start? Where do I end? Where do I begin? Let's put some of this stuff in it. I literally cannot decide what should and should not go in this crazy tassel. So somewhere is the end of this, I'm sure. Here we are. So I'm gonna just start sticking stuff in here, and I don't care. I don't care what it is. I'm gonna cut it. I've lost my scissors now. I'm gonna keep chopping and just see what happens. Okay, those are my heavy duty scissors. I didn't really need those, but I'm going to put a bunch of mess in here. I've picked out some pearls and some beads, and I got a piece of this Maggie Holmes ribbon. This is not official Maggie Holmes ribbon. I bought it from Ribbon Stop when it was on, or not Ribbon Stop, I'm sorry, Really Reasonable Ribbon when it was on clearance for whatever, 18 cents or something. I can't get this little thing closed. Look at this. That's aggravating. That's the noise you hear is me fumbling with this little plastic lid. Okay, so I decided to continue to re-dye these. And you know what? I'm not happy with any of the colors, but yet I'm happy with all of them, kind of. Is that weird? I know that. I know how that sounds. So I decided, well, I didn't really decide. I kind of determined at this point that I'm going to find some of the longer pieces now, and I'm going to use those. And just the longer ones just because I can cut them down. These aren't too long. None of these are too long. And I'm going to put a couple of each of these greens in just because it's my tassel and I can do what I want, right? But that looks a little greener. I am going to put one of these really darker greens in, even though it's kind of yellowy. And I might put one of these in. I don't know, this one looks more tie-dyed. I don't know, that might be too yellow. And then I gotta find the pink one. Here's the pink. So I'm gonna put a bunch of pink in it. Yeah, okay. So the last one I made, you know what, we could throw that in if we wanted. I could throw all these in, actually. Just whatever. These look good. And hence the reason why I dyed a bunch of seam binding at once. I wonder if is that too dark? Oh, let's stick it in. Let's just stick it in there and see what happens. So if this is our tassel, and we do need to cut some of this down, right? But I think that's pretty colorful and pretty. I think it's pretty. Okay. So it might be too much. So we're not going to add anything to this. If anything, we're going to cut that down. So, and I'm probably not going to add anything to this. And I'm probably not going to add anything to this. So let's separate that for a second. I'm going to put that over here. Okay. So I like all the different colors of the seam binding. The blue's not very long though. I may take that out. And these stringy pieces are aggravating. Okay, so where do we go from here? How do we start? Well, you kind of have to determine what length you want your tassel to be in the end. So this is about 7 inches with nothing on it. So what I want to do is probably determine my longer pieces first so I can tie charms to them or beads or maybe, I don't know, maybe just put in some ribbon, some real ribbon. I'm going to look. What I do have a mint green ribbon. Well, this isn't really minty. This is yellow green too, but you know what? I think it's pretty. So I'm going to snip a couple pieces of this to include in there. And I'm going to grab probably a pink. I don't really have a real pastel-y pink. That's a shame. I don't really have I've got some organza. It's got a nice sheen to it. So I'm going to grab a piece of that. That might be just way too long. So I'm going to include some of this organza in there to give it some sheen. And I thought I had an iridescent ribbon, but I do not. So, oh, I do have, well, again, this might be a little on the yellow side, but I have this. That might be too green. Okay. Enough real ribbon. Okay. So this is how I start. What I'm going to do, I have these larger hole pearls, and a lot of times when you use them on charms, you need to do something to them to make them stay on your head pin. I'm leaking over here. So, oops, wrong scissors. Let me pick those up. So, these you don't have to. You can actually just thread them on. So I'm just going to throw a bead on here and tie it off. See? So at the end, I'm going to tie a little knot. And push it down. Maybe 2 knots, depending on if this will, nah, that won't pop off. Okay, and then just open this back up, fluff it up a little bit. And to make it look nice, when you're done, you're gonna chop that and refluff it. But, so the basic idea is to put something at each end, maybe, or not, you don't have to, but to lay them out even so that when you gather them in the center that it's gonna kind of hang nice. If you've tied something to the end, then those are the ends you're not going to be able to trim. So you kind of want to not miscalculate too much on the length. So we are going to start measuring. So this is a nice long piece. I feel confident that we can tie anything to this that we would like, because the knot is going to take up space too. So I've also made these. I know you guys have seen these on AliExpress, these little metal pieces that you can add to your, if you do any kind of multi-mixed media. I add these to my canvases sometimes. I normally put, excuse me, I've got the hiccups a little bit. I normally attach it with matte gel, and then that dries clear. It's very, very strong, and it'll hold this onto a canvas. But for this particular instance, I used my glossy accents. Yes, that's a baby nipple on there, and I do have a video on that. That keeps it from clogging. Works amazing. I've linked the video that I got the idea from in that video. So what I did was I just glued these together to make them thicker and stronger. So I'm actually going to use these to tie to the shorter ribbons, so I'm not so concerned. I also layered up a butterfly with the glossy accents to make it into a charm. So this is a great big butterfly charm, which I hope looks nice and not gaudy. I've used another one of those chandelier pieces on a copper chain. I got out the rosary beads I bought. I have attached a great big fairy key, made a head pin with a few beads on it. This is a glass bead. I really like it. It's kind of pink with an iridescent finish. This one, I put just a few acrylic faceted beads with this little pink high heel. And there's a little charm over here that says, live for the moment you cannot put into words. So this I'm going to set over here, out of the way. Okay. Oh, I also glued a couple of these together. I thought that I would attach some little pearls or something into these little openings, but now I think I'm just going to leave it as is. I kind of like it like that, and I may attach something to the front here, like this butterfly. I think I'm going to make this a two-part charm. So we'll see. I also gathered up a bunch of little beads and things to use on these ribbons. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So at the other end of this, I'm going to put something on there too. And I love this little holographic bead. I don't know if you can see that. The camera may not, that may not show up well, but this has got all different colors in it. And I really like it. It's got some purples and some blues and some pinks and some greens. It's so pretty. It's magical. It's like a unicorn. Okay, so I'm going to trim this to a point. See if I can thread this through here. I think that I can. The hole in this is pretty large, yeah. So if you're just doing one bead here and one bead there, it's really not hard to get them onto your seam binding because that's not real, it's not super thick. And I think I want to put something else on there too with it. I don't want to distract from it because it's so, so pretty. I kind of want to attract attention to it though. So I kind of feel like putting this, oh, there's a little, they call these flea bites. These are, I don't know if you can see this little dot in the glass. Can you see that? Let me see there. It's right there in front of my fingernail. It's like a little black dot. It's like a tiny hole. And so I'm kind of disappointed. I didn't know this had a flea bite on it. Darn it. That's so pretty, that little blue swirl. Okay. Maybe a charm. Maybe I can add a charm to this. You know what? Let's put something else on here too. How about, I don't know if I can fit, these butterflies are awfully small. Maybe just another pearl. Maybe I'll just do another pearl. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tie this off. I kind of want one of those roses on there too. Let's see if I can get this rose on here. Yeah. Let's put the rose so that there's several things on this one. I think if you put more on that, not only will it attract more attention to that particular one, but it has a little bit more weight and it hangs nicer once you get it all together. I don't want it to just be kind of willy-nilly everywhere. Is that a word? Probably not. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to do that to all of your pieces. So I kind of feel like I do like this green ribbon, even though it's like a brighter yellowy green. Maybe a little too green. I don't know, but I think I could fit this butterfly on it. Now, I have this too. This is really pretty, this iridescent trim, but the end looks like it would just fray out. And it's polyester, so I think I can melt it with a lighter. So I did have a little wire in here. Here it is. So this tiny wire is what I'm using as my bead threader. There's fuzz on it. So it's just a wire bent in half, and I slide the ribbon into it, and that helps me to thread on those smaller charms, as you can see, because I would never get that through there normally. And then I think that I would like something else here. How about, I kind of like this one too. This one's got this little gold and white. Kind of like that one too. Let's put that on there. Yeah. And maybe a flower. No. I don't know. I don't really like that gold and white one on there. Like that. I kind of want a regular pearl. Let's take get a regular pearl off of this. I'm just going to steal one from this. I know I have pearls in my bead box, but I hate to get that out. It's such a pain because I got it out, picked my pearls out, and then put it back away. So let's just steal that off there. I'm going to take this off because otherwise I will poke myself with it later because I'll forget it's there. And I don't want my animals to get hurt. If I leave little pieces of wire around, it can hurt them. So there's my bead threader. Again, this is just a piece of wire folded in half. I just slide the ribbon in it. Easy peasy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And the pearl gives it a little weight. So that is that. I'm going to try to take the knot almost to the end here. I'm going to double knot it so it's a little bit bigger. I don't want that pearl to slide off. Oh, darn it. And I got the two knots beside each other, so one's just as small as the other. So I'm going to try to put one in between. Dun, dun, dun. Dana, you doofus. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead. Oops. Have a lighter somewhere. Here it is. Okay. I'm going to burnish the edge of this a little bit so it won't continue to fray. So there's that. So in comparison to this, we don't want any too like exact. But in comparison to this, actually this should probably go this way because that's an awful pale pearl. So now I kind of want something metal over here. So I could do another butterfly or do one of these in between those whites. I do like these whites. Let's do that. Because where's my bead? Here it is. This thing's hard to see. That's why I have the black felt on this. Because my eyes are just as old as I am. Yep, that's not going to go through. Oh, it did. It takes a little bit of wiggling and pulling and finagling to get these through here. Well, that one's not easy. Okay. All right, so you can see how this is going to go. I'm going to turn a knot. Tie a little knot in the end here. Uh-oh. My ribbon's trying to unravel. Don't unravel. I did the same thing with the knot. So you're losing length every time you tie a knot. So try not to do what I did, which is tie two knots next to each other as opposed to one over the other. So I actually tied 3 knots in that. Okay, so we have a teeny tiny little end here that I'm going to burnish. Good, because you don't want that to unravel. Okay, so that's that. So you can see how this is going to go. It doesn't have to hang even. You can do it like this, or you can do it like that, whichever you like. I kind of like this being a little higher, but in the end, we'll line all these up when we put everything together. So this, I don't know about. This might be just left out of on its own. I don't know if I can, this burnishes very good. I think this is a polyester. Yeah, it's a little melty. Okay, so that should be easy to get a bead in. And since it's a wider ribbon, I think a larger bead would probably be better. I'm going to use my little bead threader that I made. Let me open this up a little bit so you can see. Oh, Dina. Okay, smash that down. Thank goodness these beads have bigger holes. And I think that that's going to work out a lot. Yeah, that's going to work out a lot better, having a bigger bead on a wider ribbon. I think that looks nicer. So I'm going to continue to treat the ends of my seam binding and my ribbon and the things that I would like to use for this tassel. And when I am done, I'm going to do a part 2, and I'm going to show you all the lengths of seam binding or ribbon that I have embellished, and I'm going to show you how I put my tassel together. So this is Dana with Constructing Artistics. It may not be today, but part 2 will come. Thanks for watching. Bye.